Hi, I'm still Paul, and I'm still talking about the BDO Druid Tarot. I did a quick reading in the last video. I just want to touch on a few takeaway points that I need to emphasise from that video. The way that I work with cards is that I do a walk of intention, a meditative walk out into nature. I take the cards somewhere with me. I connect with nature. I connect with the spirits of a place or whoever I'm working with in ritual at that point. And I ask them to use the cards to speak to me as a way of communication. Another point I wanted to make is that it's important to get a deck that you like, something that you're interested in, something that speaks to you, something that you want. Whether it's this deck or any other deck, just get something you're interested in, like the deck, like it. That's all. You don't. It's pointless trying to force yourself to learn a load of shit that you aren't interested in. Don't bother. Just get something you're interested in already. You'll get much more out of it. Another thing is taking your deck with you, connecting with it, looking at it. That's the whole thing about, the whole point about colouring these cards in is that you're spending a lot of time staring at the cards, looking at the detail, making your mark on it. The very act of colouring the deck in makes you focus on the details, working out which bits are going to be the same colour, all that sort of stuff. Those the adult colouring in books were quite popular a few years ago. I think they've died off a bit now, but it's a similar thing. It's looking at the detail and putting your own colours in. Another thing is, Druidry isn't about spending shitloads of money on stuff that you don't need, that you're going to use once. It's not about spending money. Druids tend to make their own tools, and I think it's definitely what you're doing here. As I'm colouring in this deck, card by card, as I work with them, not only am I connecting with the deck, I'm making the deck uniquely mine. Nobody else is going to have an identical deck to me. This isn't about going and buying shit. You don't need to. It's not about money. It's not about going out, and you don't need to make your own paints. You don't need to chew bar. I've done that in the past, chewed bar to make my own paints to paint with. But you don't need to. You don't need to go and buy fancy watercolours. You don't need to go and buy the best, finest paint brushes, felt tip pens. Just use what you've got. Why spend money buying stuff that you're only going to use once? Maybe you're not so good at it. If you've got all that stuff, if you are an artist, pour your heart and soul into it. But if you're happy using felt tip pens, use felt tip pens. Money isn't going to be an obstacle in this. Another thing was, I was reading from the book, tarot decks, oracle decks come with a system usually. Well, tarot decks do. It's handy to know what that system is. You don't need to stick rigidly to it, but I said in the previous video to use your intuition. I use my intuition a lot reading my cards, but it is handy to the creator of any deck has put a lot of time and created the cards to be used within a system, so it is handy to know what that system is before you put your own overlay on it. And the final thing I want to get across is just do it. Don't worry about not knowing enough. That should never be a barrier. You've got a book. There's a book that comes with it. Just jump in, just do it. You could spend years and years reading every tarot book there is. You could spend years and years watching all the videos on YouTube, learning every factoid and every detail about the tarot, and never touch your deck. And at the end of that, if you spend 10 years doing that before you pick your deck up, before you feel you know enough to even start reading, you've just wasted 10 years. You know, at the end of that 10 years, you could have all that knowledge plus 10 years experience. You will learn a lot more from just going in, jumping in, doing it, being crap at it, making mistakes, and learning from them, getting a feel for what it's all about. Just do it. Just do it.